a hand grenade, your best friend, or your worst enemy. They're small, powerful, and they changed the course of history. During World War II, there was no single standard. Grenades came in every shape imaginable: round, segmented, or mounted on a wooden handle. Some used safety pins, others pull cords, pressure caps, or even impact fuses. Each nation experimented, adapted, and gambled on its own design. Today, we're looking for the best hand grenade of World War II. Which one gave soldiers a real edge on the battlefield, and which one let them down? Before diving into the specs, let's introduce the 5 major powers of World War II and their signature hand grenades. We're comparing the explosive weapons of the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, the Soviet Union, and Japan. Each nation brought its own design philosophy and battlefield doctrine, reflected directly in their grenades. Each of them offers a different answer to the same question: how do you kill the enemy without killing yourself? During World War II, grenades were designed with 2 very different philosophies. Defensive grenades relied on heavy bodies and lethal fragmentation. They were meant to be thrown from cover, trenches, buildings, or behind walls, where the thrower was protected from their own shrapnel. Offensive grenades, on the other hand, focused on blast and shock rather than fragments. With thinner casings and fewer lethal splinters, they allowed soldiers to attack in open ground without immediately endangering themselves. Looking at these 5 designs, the differences become clear. Some prioritized maximum lethality. Others prioritized the survival of the soldier throwing them. And of course, some were hybrid designs. Let's go to the contenders. We start with the iconic Mark II pineapple grenade. Officially introduced in 1920 and produced until the end of the war, it weighed about 590 grams and contained an explosive charge of about 55 grams of TNT. Over 21 million were produced during World War II. Reliable and effective, although early models suffered from fuse issues. The Mark II was the opposite of complex. Pull the pin, release the lever, and the grenade was live. Most of them left the factory painted bright yellow, not for combat, but for logistics. Yellow marked them as live, high explosive, making them easy to identify in warehouses and during transport. Because bright yellow offered no camouflage, the U.S. Army changed the standard color to olive drab in 1942, leaving only a small yellow band for identification. Thousands of yellow grenade bodies were already in storage, so they were simply repainted. Next up, the Soviet RGD-33. Complex, modular, and heavy, it was developed in 1933 and weighed around 600 grams. It carried an explosive charge of 85 grams of TNT. While powerful, its complicated assembly made it difficult to use, especially for poorly trained soldiers under extreme combat stress. It could be fitted with an external fragmentation sleeve. Without it, the grenade acted as an offensive grenade. With it, it became a defensive one, producing far more lethal shrapnel. This was not a simple pin-and-throw grenade like the American pineapple. Before it could be used, the RGD-33 required several manual actions to make it live. Safety elements had to be disengaged and internal mechanisms activated before the grenade was ready to be thrown. On paper, this offered control and flexibility. In combat, it meant extra time, extra stress, and more room for error. The British No. 36 Mills bomb evolved from World War I designs and was refined throughout the 1930s. It weighed 765 grams and used baritol as its explosive filler. The choice of baritol was deliberate, and it was smart. Baritol gave the Mills bomb better fragmentation, greater safety and storage, and allowed Britain to stretch its limited TNT supplies. It was famous for its reliability and effective fragmentation, and it could also be fired from a rifle. With a special adapter and blank cartridge, British soldiers could launch it far beyond throwing distance, turning a simple grenade into a short-range artillery weapon. More than 75 million were produced during World War II. Japan's Type 97 was compact and manually operated. Introduced in 1937, the Type 97 weighed about 450 grams and carried a modest charge of 65 grams of TNT. Its manual ignition system was unreliable and often dangerous. The Type 97 was not a simple pin grenade. After removing the safety, the fuse had to be manually activated by striking it against a hard surface before the grenade could be thrown. That's why you see Japanese soldiers hit it against their helmets in movies. Production numbers remain unclear, but the grenade was notorious for accidents and misfires. Last up, the Stielhandgranate 24, also known as the potato masher.
But you'll get a nice mashed potato.
Introduced in 1924, its long wooden handle made it ideal for long-distance throws. It weighed about 480 grams and packed a powerful charge of 165 to 170 grams of TNT. While it lacked strong fragmentation, it was devastating in offensive assaults. Unlike most grenades, it had no visible pin. Instead, the ignition mechanism was hidden inside the handle. Pulling a cord armed the grenade. The stick shape wasn't just for throwing range. When it landed, it rarely rolled away. It usually stayed where it fell. But that same shape also made it easier to spot. Unlike a small round grenade, a stick grenade was clearly visible, and that meant it could be kicked away or thrown back. Around 75 million stick grenades were produced during World War II, making it one of the most widely used hand grenades of the conflict.
Shit.
Let's look at 3 essential attributes: weight, explosive power, and ease of use. While each grenade had strengths, one model comes out on top in each category. Lightest grenade is the Type 97, only 450 grams. The most powerful charge is the Stielhandgranate 24, around 170 grams of TNT. And the most user-friendly, the Mills bomb, simple, reliable, and battle-tested. Bonus round, the most iconic. That's the real potato from the good old Call of Duty 2. No discussion possible.
These are potatoes, Comrade Commissar. Why are we using potatoes instead of real grenades?
Because real grenades are valuable. In fact, they are worth a lot more than you are.
Oh, of course, Comrade Commissar. My mistake.
Looking at these category winners, a clear pattern begins to emerge. Modern grenades, like the American M67 and the Russian RGD-5, are compact, spherical, and designed to work in almost any situation, both offensive and defensive. They are the result of hard lessons learned during World War II. The stick grenade disappeared almost entirely after the war. The classic pineapple structure faded as well, replaced by smoother designs with internal fragmentation. Now, back to World War II, the final ranking, the last place, the Type 97. An unreliable fuse, weak explosive power, and a serious danger to friendly troops. Fourth is the RGD-33, too complex under pressure, despite a respectable explosive charge. The Stielhandgranate takes the third place. Excellent throwing range and offensive capability, but limited lethal fragmentation. The runner-up is the Mark II Pineapple, a solid, recognizable design and highly effective in combat, but less versatile and not designed for rifle launching. And the best hand grenade of World War II is the British Mills bomb, reliable, powerful, and effective in nearly every terrain and combat situation. Which of these grenades would you take into battle? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more fire, steel, and history.